With the India-Canada diplomatic row going on, several dozens of Canadian diplomats have started leaving India. Many of them have landed in Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, and that has come after India asked for a parity of diplomatic strength and rank present in India, and that meant that about 40 odd diplomats from India will have to leave for Canada. That was reported by Financial Times, and 10th October is the date by which India has asked them to leave. Now, CTV, another Canadian media, is reporting that several of these diplomats have started leaving, and many of them have landed in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. The Canadian High Commission has not reacted on these reports, but we know that diplomatic row in the recent past, ever since Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleged the role of Indian agencies in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a dreaded and wanted Khalistani terrorist from Indian side, and a Canadian citizen for Canada. That is how Prime Minister Trudeau described him. That has kind of gone down very badly for the bilateral relationship. Many aspects have been impacted. Both countries have taken unprecedented steps. India has stopped processing of visa for the Canadians coming to India. India has also stepped up advisory for Indian people living in Canada or students in the wake of political turmoil that is ongoing. India has also, restricted kind of visa application for the Canadian because of the threat and intimidation that they were receiving from Khalistani elements present in Canada. They have asked for the diplomatic strength and rank and strength to be equal. And the 10th October is the date by which they have apparently Indian side has asked Canada to abide by the discussion. Now, which vertical is going to be impacted most? Something that we asked Arindam Bagchi's MEA spokesperson. He said that it is up to the Canadian side to focus on what kind of vertical they want to focus on, what kind of operation they want the remaining diplomats to be deployed with, and this is something that the Canadian side needs to decide. This is not something that the Indian side will have any intervention on, but these diplomats have been asked to leave because of higher number of them, and also because of their role or meddling with the internal affairs of India. So that has been India's stand. But how it is going to impact the bilateral people-to-people exchange? We know that about 277,000, that is the number of Canadian who visited India as tourists last year. And this is going to impact it because of the visa processing that has been stopped by the Indian missions in Canada. You know that there is a lot of Indian student also who visit every year Canada for number of studies that they have been going ahead with. Canada happens to be the second most favored nation by Indian students for higher studies. And the biggest impact of the cessation of visa processing is going to be on the Indian diaspora. And we know that about 80,000 people have been flying in and out every year. And in 2021, while Canadians tourists were 80,000 in number, 2.77 lakh, that was the number in 2021. So that is 2022. So there is a kind of increase that we had witnessed by the Canadians coming to India. Also, the Ministry of External Affairs has issued a notification in India to exercise precaution because of the dwindling down security situation for the Indians. And data from the MEA shows that about 1.9 lakh Indian students went to the US on a student visa in 2022, while 1.85 lakh students visa were opted by Indian students to go to Canada. And that was between 2018 and 2022. The number of Indians who went to Canada study has rose by whopping 81%, and these data have been showing that a large number of Indian students have started going ahead with the Canadian higher education. And apart from students, about 5.84 lakh other Indians also traveled to Canada in 2022 and 1.57 lakh in 2021. So this is the kind of excessive visa application process that the Canadian missions in India process every year. And with the kind of diplomats and the number of diplomats leaving India, that is surely going to be a hit. How the families are going to be impacted and what kind of backup channel talks will ensue between the two sides to ensure that there is no major humanitarian crisis, because thousands of Indian families live in Canada, and same goes both ways, and they have been coming and going every month. The frequent traveling is happening between the two sides. So how Indian side or how the Canadian side is going to ensure that the bilateral diplomatic relationship that has soured in the recent past would not impact the families or the humanitarian side of the bilateral relationship. That we'll have to see. But for now, India has been very strong about its condemnation on the Canadian allegation, and is very has been very solidly backing up its step on against Canadian diplomats and asking them to leave India to ensure a parity between the two sides has been one of the very vocal and very strong statement that India has done in the recent past, especially with a country with which India has been on a very fairly reasonable bilateral relationship. The both sides were enjoying kind of strategic partnership as well. Canadian government has said that India remains a very important partner because of the Indo-Pacific policy that Canadian government has issued last year, and everything seems to be turning backwards with the latest diplomatic row that has been started by the statement of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleging Indian agencies' role in killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Insofar as discussions on parity, as we mentioned earlier, given the much higher diplomatic presence of Canadian diplomats or diplomatic presence here in Canada and their continuing interference in our internal affairs, we have sought parity in our respective diplomatic presence. Discussions are ongoing on the modalities of achieving this. Specific question by you, John, regarding dates, etc. Look, I would not like to get into the details of diplomatic conversations. As we mentioned, I think last week, given that Canadian diplomatic presence is very much higher, we would assume that there would be a reduction